In the near future, a terrible crisis is spreading through Europe and people are lacking basic necessities. Soon after, governments begin to disintegrate, and an authoritarian state, known as not enough at all, seizes control. It chooses to eliminate individuals in order to address the scarcity of resources. They kill the old first, then go after children and pregnant women. Many people are fleeing to nations like Ireland, Iceland, and Norway because they are able to put an end to the massacre and are against the regime. Among these people, there's Nico and his pregnant wife Mia. A smuggler brings them to the nearby waterfront one evening, when they dash between the containers in an attempt to make their getaway. They change course and take care to conceal from the lights of the helicopters when a dog blocks their path. They hear some runners being arrested by the police, but they are able to sneak by them and locate another smuggler who demands more money. They are forced to give him their wedding rings because they have already paid a significant amount. Subsequently, the couple gets into the back of a truck along with a number of other ladies who are fleeing with their dogs and children. Mia removes the bandage that was hiding her belly and is worried because she hasn't felt the baby move in a while. However, Nico teaches her where to find the spot with the baby's foot because that's where the child always kicks. He also gives her a Snickers bar that he's been saving to eat when they get to Ireland as a little celebration prize. After one of the refugees uses a drill to make a hole in the truck and allow the light in, Mia watches the other children and feels guilty because she and Nico left their first child behind. But Nico reminds her that the soldiers took her away, so it means she's dead. After only a few hours of traveling, the truck makes a stop to pick up more refugees. The people quickly rush inside and the truck gets too crowded, so the smuggler announces they'll split the group in two, leaving the women and children here and the men will go in another vehicle. Nico tries to explain he was already in this truck with his wife from before, but he's ignored and taken away. The doors are closed and Mia has to watch through a hole how her husband is gone, so she uses her phone to contact him. Nico tells her not to worry because the trucks are going in the same direction, so they'll reunite later. For now, she must save battery and keep an eye on their things. As the truck continues traveling, Mia watches the outside world through the hole, being disturbed by the violence on every corner. Soldiers kill rioters without mercy and women are taken away in cages as if they were cattle. After a while, the truck breaks down at a checkpoint, and all the women quickly hide in the back. Even when the driver shows the soldiers he is carrying cargo with his papers, the soldiers nonetheless open the truck to conduct a check. The migrants are concealed behind a fictitious wall, so at first glance, all that is visible are a few boxes. But the leader is suspicious, so he sends one of his men inside and orders him to aim at the side wall from as far away as possible. When he does, the leader notices a change in distance and determines there is a secret compartment. He then enters the chamber with several of his warriors and requests that the women emerge. Fearing the worst, Mia climbs on top of the crates right before one of the women opens the fake wall. The leader immediately kills her, and the other soldiers open fire to murder the whole group while Mia is splattered with their blood. By the end, the only ones standing are the dog and a little kid. The dog gets to run away, but the soldiers make sure to kill the kid too. After they're gone, Mia cries and sends her husband a message, telling him to hide. After a few hours, the truck arrives at a different harbor, where the container is relocated in preparation for being removed by ship. When Nico doesn't answer when Mia tries to phone him, she just leaves another message informing him that the ship is carrying her away. She then makes sure everything is in her bag and flips on a light before nodding off. Later, when the container begins to shake, Mia awakens. A violent storm is destroying the ship, and she can see the sailors scrambling around through the holes the bullets put in it. Mia starts screaming for assistance as the shaking causes her to tumble around and get injured until she is knocked out by a hard fall. Moments later, Mia wakes up and discovers water is getting into the container through the holes. When she looks outside, she discovers the ship sank, and now all the containers, including hers, are floating in the middle of the sea. She starts panicking and tries to call Nico, but her phone got smashed and it doesn't work. Then she tries an extra phone she brought in her bag, but she doesn't know the password to make it work. After checking that the baby is fine, Mia notices water keeps getting into the container, so she begins opening the crates to find something she can use. Unfortunately, they only have stuff like plastic containers, televisions, alcohol, and earbuds. She also finds a bunch of hoodies and puts one on. After looking around, she begins picking up all the things that fell from her bag, including some tape and a Swiss Army knife. After putting tape on the holes to slow the water down, Mia finds her diary and finds comfort in a picture of her family. Suddenly, she hears some screaming and looks through the hole to notice a container slowly sinking with people inside. A desperate Mia begins screaming Nico's name and puts her SIM card in the working phone, but Nico won't pick up and the container sinks, so Mia has a breakdown. Mia tries the phone non-stop for the following few hours, but to no avail. When night falls and she feels like ending things, she grabs the knife. But then she feels the baby move. Hearing the whales sing outside, Mia goes to sleep, deciding to live for the baby. A few moments later, Mia moves out of the way just in time to avoid falling when she sees the dangling container trembling. But as water begins to quickly fill the container as a result, Mia fears that she is going to drown. But then she wakes up and realizes it was all a nightmare. She discovers the tape came off and the water is getting worse, so she pushes a crate under the hanging one and releases it with her knife, only to find even more plastic containers. At first she's frustrated, but they give her an idea. She removes the rubber from the lids and uses it to cover the lower holes. Then she takes a hose from a machine in one of the many crates and puts it into another bowl to take out the water through it. She also moves 2 crates against the wall, so she has a place to lie down, and marks the water levels with more tape, counting down the days until it reaches the limit. After trying the phone again to no avail, Mia puts up some wires from the earbuds and hangs the photographs from her diary so they can dry. Then she checks her supplies, making sure to ration her water bottles and her food correctly. She also discovers that the drill and lighter that were dropped by other people are still working. Suddenly her phone gets a call from an unknown number, and Mia answers to find out it's Nico. He couldn't answer before because his battery died, and he's alive because the other driver had scanned them. Instead of taking them to the harbor, he abandoned the group outside the city. Mia tells him what happened to her, and Nico promises he'll rescue her. But for now, she must continue to save the battery and to survive for their child. The umbilical cord is wrapped around the baby's neck, but Mia quickly takes it off and pats the baby's back until she cries. Then, Mia climbs on top of a crate and hangs onto the child, waiting for the storm to pass. The next morning, Mia feels the placenta coming out of her body and puts it away in a plastic container. Afterwards, she tidies up the place as much as she can and puts the baby in a small box with a hoodie while she checks her things. She eats a bit of food from a can, but the phone took water damage and isn't working. To make matters worse, the baby won't stop crying and Mia tries to breastfeed her to no avail. When she finds the knife, she tries to use it on the holes in the ceiling to finish the job, but this begins hurting her hands. As time passes, Mia doesn't have anything else to do but take care of the baby, occasionally wetting the child's skin to help her with the heat. When she tries to sleep, it's really hard because her stomach keeps growling over the lack of food. In the end, desperation wins over and Mia decides to eat her own placenta. She looks out to see the whale hitting the container, which makes the baby cry once more. Suddenly, she hears the whales outside again. In response, Mia strikes the walls of the container, frightening the whale once more. When Mia tries the knife in the holes again the following morning, the knife breaks. Mia needs to finish the last of the clean water, and the phone is still broken. Mia, feeling lightheaded from the heat, grabs some seawater and squirts it across her head before starting to suck water droplets hanging from the ceiling. Sadly, she becomes ill from this within minutes. As the lightheadedness worsens, Mia abruptly sees a paper airplane descending on her legs. At that moment, her first daughter appears, blaming her mother for her death at the hands of the soldiers. Mia cries as Nico appears next to her too, reminding her it wasn't her fault. When Mia wakes up from this dream, she's feeling better because it's finally raining and water is falling through the holes. Mia makes sure to drink some water and collect as much as she can in the plastic containers. She also grabs the can, but when the lid breaks, she gets an idea. The rope from the crates is put through the holes in the ceiling and Mia starts pulling down until she finally gets to open a hole that allows the sunlight inside. Mia then ascends to the top of the container to verify that there isn't any land visible. When it's time to change the infant, Mia tosses the used hoodie into the ocean. She and the infant sleep up there to enjoy the fresh air. Mia dashes to get some rope and a piece of metal to try fishing as a number of fish are drawn to her. But despite her best efforts, she is unable to hit a single fish. When she finally gives up, she hears a jet take off and dashes into the container to smash a television and take a piece of the screen with her. Then she climbs back out, but she injures her leg in the rush. Ignoring the pain for now, she uses the screen piece to reflect the sunlight. But the plane doesn't see her and goes away. A disappointed Mia returns inside the container and uses some wires and small metal pieces to stitch her wound. It's a very painful process, so she tries to make it easier with alcohol. Afterward, she sees the hundreds of earbuds and gets another idea. With the wires, she begins making a net. Once it's done, she throws it in the sea with a dirty cloth and finally gets to trap some fish, which she immediately eats raw. For the following days, Mia works hard on her survival. She keeps removing the water from the container using the hose, and she keeps fishing successfully with the net, putting away lots of fish in the plastic containers. She also takes paper sheets from her diary to write a bunch of SOS notes and puts them inside containers as well, which she throws into the sea with the hope somebody will find them. One afternoon, Mia shows the baby all the pictures of the family and decides to name the child Noah after her grandmother, which is the name Nico wanted. She also shows her a picture of her sister, sharing the story of how the soldiers took her and how she still blames herself for it. Later in the evening, Mia notices Noah is getting cold, so she uses some alcohol and a lighter to start a fire. In the middle of the night, Mia hears something hitting the wall and comes out to discover it's just a plastic container. At that moment, her phone begins ringing, and she's delighted to hear Nico's voice. But unfortunately, he has bad news. He tried to steal a boat, but he was seen by the soldiers and got shot. Right now he's hiding, but he's slowly bleeding out, and he doesn't have much time left. Nico's called to say goodbye and make Mia promise she'll survive. So Mia puts the phone next to Noah, so he can talk to her and hear her cute little noises. After Mia and Nico tell each other, "I love you," her battery dies and the wind puts out the fire as she cries. It's then revealed that Mia still has the Snickers bar, which she's saving for the end of her journey as promised. On day 26, Mia is about to lose it. There are drawings and rants on paper sheets taped all over the container walls, which is about to reach the water limit, so Mia and the baby are now living on top of it. Mia also is using the crate wood, the plastic containers, and the rope to put together a raft. Suddenly, a seagull lands on the container to take some of her fish, and this gives Mia hope, because it means they must be near land. Later in the evening, Mia manages to start a new fire and gets a sail ready for her raft. Suddenly, she hears a noise inside the container, and realizing it'll sink soon, Mia dives in to gather all her pictures. She also notices that the Snickers bar is contained in a plastic container, so she decides to take a chance and step inside to get it. Mia's foot becomes entangled in some rope as the water pushes the raft containing Noah away, and she fights against it while attempting to stay afloat. She successfully cuts the rope with a metal piece and swims out of the container just before it sinks. Mia is scared when she realizes she can't see Noah when she finally makes it to the surface. A while passes by at that precise moment and lets out some water, which splashes Noah and causes her to weep. Mia can now locate her daughter by following the source of the sounds. In an attempt to draw some birds, Mia opens a plastic container and tosses some fish outside while they float around the following morning. A boat traveling close by notices that soon a flock of seagulls is circling over them. Noah is discovered inside the small raft alive, and well after they swiftly take the boat in that direction and rescue it. The sailors begin pulling on the rope that emerges from the raft and falls into the water until Mia's body emerges. The sailors immediately start applying CPR, but Mia won't wake up. However, they refuse to give up for the sake of the baby. After lots of chest compressions, Mia finally reacts, and the sailors hand the baby to her before using the radio to call for help. It takes Mia a moment to realize she's safe, and when she looks at the horizon, she sees they're approaching Ireland, meaning she'll be able to get the new life she wanted. Thank you for watching. See you in next video.